Hey, what's up, everyone? My name is Lionel. I'm your host for LT Productions, and you are watching I Watch You Watch. Today, we are covering the Real Housewives of Atlanta. This is season 17, episode 8. I appreciate everyone for coming to my channel. Please like this video. You can also subscribe, and you can leave your comments below. Let's get into this week's episode. Okay, y'all. Well, it's a new day. It's not a to be continued episode, but we do get that at the end of this episode. We start off with Kelly. They did some interludes and all of that. Pinky got this short little scene with her daughter. I think she was singing the alphabet or whatever. Derek, that's your child. A splitting image of you, or spitting image, whatever you want to call it. I don't see no Pinky in there, but whatever. There was probably some other scenes, but anyways, Kelly. They're at the McDonough location for Nana's chicken and waffles, which I thought that they would be talking about the Sandy Springs, but oh well. Maybe we've met them before. I just may have blocked it out. But we meet Kelly's mom, Kara, and Nana. I said, okay, that's cool. I think it would be great for Kelly to more explore what's going on in her family. She does later on tell us that her husband is blocking for her younger children to be a part of filming, which I think we already knew what was in the news. As far as at least he's fighting for it, we didn't know if he won. But that was the same thing that Mark was doing to Kenya Moore. But Kenya Moore won that, which was great. I think it would be good to get into your roots. I think that you should be talking more to your Nana, since this is labeled as your Nana's chicken waffles, just to kind of fill out the gap so that we can get to know you in a different way. We saw the materialistic you, in my opinion. You're splurging here, there, everywhere, last season. Cha-cha need this, cha-cha need that, cha-cha, and it's just, maybe that is your lifestyle, or if you were just trying to put on. However, the husband is just making it very hard on you. But before we get there, the Sandy Springs location, which she just opened up, is really hard right now. They're used to opening up and businesses booming, but not at this location. Miss Kara and Nana said, look, there's a lot of training that needs to go on between the kitchen staff, service staff, all of that. Then they talk about the husband. The husband is really taking her through with child support. She's requesting for $50K that he owes right now. Or at least it's over that, but at least at that amount is what she's starting at. Or listen, I already talked about the children can't film right now. And Kelly has been dating someone for over a year, which confuses me. Not so much that she's dating, but because of what has been happening. So I don't know. I'll talk about that a little bit later. But she's labeling him as Jarvis. They met at a Hawks game and she was not interested in him. But anyways, they still exchanged numbers and hit it off, and everything is going well. They've been dating for over a year. Jarvis isn't his real name. They're just using that as an alias, and then the production was coming up with, you should call him like Tony Stark or whatnot. But whatever. Hopefully we'll meet him at some point. But if he's not willing to come on camera now, then I don't see him ever coming on camera. Just saying. I think that Kelly needs more scenes like this, because we haven't been able to see an authentic you. We saw the up you just spending lavish and being messy, and I don't think that people really took you that seriously, especially with you spend the amount of money on your dog, Cha-Cha. I think that this has been a way to kind of get us to possibly start feeling something for you in a connection. Now, because of housewife politics, it comes with the territory that they're just not going to like you, especially if you're in opposition with the fan fave. You never win. Never win. Unfortunately. K. Michelle and her husband, they go to the dentist. She has an appointment. They're talking and talking. She was talking about the teeth and pulling them out. He thought it was great that she's getting this work done. And she was like, oh, so you want me without my teeth? You think I would look good really without my teeth? He said, no, that's not what I'm talking about. They laugh about that. Then he said that you make me nervous. And she said, I think that's a good thing. Keep him on the edge of how I took it as her saying, I got to keep him on the edge of his seat, on his toes, so that he don't get too comfortable to think that he's going to disrespect me in any type of way. That's what I kind of think. She said that she was very calm during Dallas. Then we get a flashback scene that says contrary, as we all know that did not happen. Doctor asks, would the rest agree? She said, nobody would agree with anything I got going on. Da, 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 da. We get a never before seen footage. K. Michelle met with Phaedra, and Kelly was there also. And she just says, I've got word that you, da 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 da, Portia and Drew were going to plot on me, da 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 da. All I know is if Drew is doing all of this, I wouldn't, especially with Portia, after how she played in your face last season and used you for a storyline because she didn't want to talk about what was going on in her life in order to win her case after scamming that man. I wouldn't have done it. No. Even, I don't know if it's true or not. Does Portia and Phaedra have the propensity to do something like this? Yes. Does Drew have the propensity to play a game? To have stunts going on? Yes. And all I can do is leave it into the air until we actually get more solid details as to what's going on. But as Phaedra was kind of more pleading her case, like, I haven't heard anything. I heard a conversation about the whole Drew and Black situation, but that I heard a conversation about that, but that's it. However, K. Michelle says that, like, think Phaedra's in the clear. I think she said that she could respect her because she thinks that Phaedra has the understanding to not F with her. Okay. The dental assistant comes out to meet her and says, hey, let's go back there and we'll prep you for what needs to be done for the day. And then she said, you're so beautiful. You couldn't be my husband's assistant. And that is so puzzling to me. The reason it's puzzling, I would love to just stay on the show, but because K. Michelle's doing all these interviews, it's hard for me not to include it into my commentary for the show. You admitted on the Shake Shake Club interview that you would invite other women into the room, in the bedroom, for your husband. You watch them do their due, and you're turned on by that. That's why it's also weird about this whole Drew situation. You admitted this. We did. And you also said what you consider cheating. If your man was actually taking care of the person that he was sleeping with. She don't really care too much about the cheating part. It's if you actually, like, paid a bill or so. Because in some type of way, you like someone to just be treated just as a knockoff, or you think is a knockoff. And if they're treated anything different as far as a bill paid, then you actually care for them. That's what I was getting. But anyway, it's really hard for me, to see that you are this territorial over your husband, and you're so have all of these boundaries for marriage and integrity for it, and you, like, am I tripping y'all? Because I'm not. I don't know how to really handle K, because it's like there's things that contradict you because you say one thing here and another thing in another place. Okay, so Angela and Phaedra, Portia and Drew, they meet up. First it's Phaedra and Angela. Angela's dressed a certain way because she's going to be leaving soon. She has a flight to handle or to take. Her daughter is going to Fashion Week somewhere and going to walk in the fashion show. I think that's so cool. I would love more personal story. I think that there's going to be some more with Angela coming up, and that would be great. As everyone else gathers around, Angela and Phaedra kind of joke about being in the rooms. You know, the comment about, oh, you're not in the rooms that I'm in, da 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 da. Cool, I guess. So Phaedra was like, well, since you tried to, like, save my life after that Portia tried to kick me, I think possibly we'll be having or start a friendship. Okay. It looks like Angela's been accepted in. I would love for her to just be a maverick and just stand out. Ain't it great how some people can just come in, and then you got Kenya Moore, who has to be the villain for several years and never really get a break. I'm Team Twirl, so I don't know what y'all think it is over here, but that's where it is. Phaedra says she met up with K. Michelle and says that there is a plot that both Portia and Drew are coming up with, and both of them like, what? Portia said, you know, I begged you to talk to me about what was going on. I've been sitting here trying to be a friend and all of that, and I'm really done holding your hand. And the level of friendship that you said that you wanted, you're not really ready for. Yeah. My thoughts on all of that. I do think that K. Michelle has been coddled. Other people think that that has been harshly done. On the show, she's been coddled. Someone online said, oh, K. Michelle thought that she was going to be head dog up in here, da-da-da-da-da. I will say this much. Her presence is commanding. Episode 1 of this season, while the women were fighting, guess who got up and said, I can't do this? She walks out there, and guess who followed? The whole cast, y'all. That's influence. That they had to go out there, when really it should have been Kay getting her tail back up in there. Y'all been coddling her, catering to her. I don't know any other housewife that has gotten this type of catering and coddling. Portia did. Portia got it when she was getting a divorce from Cordell, and then put on this bullying label on Kenya, which it wasn't, because from the beginning, they was giving it to Kenya as much as Kenya was giving it to them. So it's so weird at how Kenya got the bullying label on her. But nobody's ready to have that conversation. She's not ready for that level of friendship. Blah, 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 blah. Am I the bully? And then Drew was like, am I the drama? Oh, yeah. So I don't know how K. Michelle said on Watch What Happens Live is that she's the closest to Phaedra and Kelly. I don't know how you're going to be friends with Phaedra, who's at least loyal to Portia on the show. So I don't know why you would be that naive, but hey, that's you. Portia's at home. Her mom, Dirty Diana, and Lauren are there. She's upstairs with Pilar and her niece, telling Pilar that she has a surprise for them and it's coming really soon. Pilar's been asking for a lizard. So I guess that's what she's going to be getting. However, it wasn't. Portia comes downstairs and talks with the women. Miss Diane excuses herself, and they talk a little bit more about Portia's dating life with Lauren. She's trying to figure out who she wants to really settle down with. She knows that Mike is kind of like, his only deal breaker is having children, and she doesn't want to have any other children. Which is so interesting, because nobody talks about Portia and this other man, Simon, that she was with and married to. She has embryos out there. We don't even know how did they destroy them? Who owns them? Y'all don't remember that was spoken about in last season? She skated by, didn't really have to say nothing about this marriage. But she's the fan favorite in the face of the show. But so is Giselle on the other show. She was talking about Sway a little bit, you know. She don't know, and she really doesn't think that she has to make a choice right now. But if you already know that you're not going to have any children, why in the world would you still try to be with them? Just tell them that's just it. And then the animal handler, Qadir, shows up with a snake. So is that supposed to be the pet? I don't know. But I find it interesting. She also says that Mike, who didn't hear from Portia for a couple of days, even calling Lauren, like, where's she at, trying to get Portia's attention, bringing this Mexican string quartet to play and all that, and then next thing you know, Dennis pulls up while she's enjoying whatever Mike is doing for her. But now you're saying that Dennis just moved a couple of doors down, but I thought he was in the same place of where Mike is at. I'm lost. If y'all can figure it out, let me know. Shamia and Kelly, they meet up. Kelly is quite emotional already. Shamia is. She comes in and Kelly greets Shamia. She's already emotional and crying. And she talks about, Gerald really wants a male heir. And they only have one male egg left. Or male, you know what I mean. And they don't know what they're going to do if it's not. how Shamia carried on is just like Gerald's gonna leave her if he doesn't get that uh, uh, male heir. They meet with Shadina. Shadina done stepped up and she's the main boss as far as this whole surrogacy type of deal. Of course, they met the new surrogate. They were saying like, what if this egg doesn't make it? Or embryo, that's what I mean. Have you thought about adoption? She's like, we haven't even gotten that far. About using someone else's egg, she says that would be weird. Like, if I use my sister's egg to get, no. I don't know what the right decision is because you married a man. I feel like you knew everything going in about this man, Shamia. There is no surprises with her. However, later on, she talks with Kelly about a movie that movie that she was in. She had a passionate love scene. She had asked Gerald how did she do, and he said that he liked it. She said that he said that he liked it. It was good, and we even got a flashback scene of it. Now he's saying that he doesn't like for her to do any passionate love scene, and she's like, well, what's going on? What's the switch up? Maybe he thought about it and pondered on it, even though he gave you a good job. It's just like, I don't know if I like that. Again, as I said, I don't think that there are any surprises in this whole Shamia marriage. I don't like Shamia. I don't know how to have empathy for her. She signed up for it. And as little as y'all, it's how y'all just don't want to act like this is not going to be Portia's life. It so was supposed to be Portia's life. Now, Portia just had an escape plan that she went on and did really fast. That's the only thing that's different between Shamia and Portia. If you don't think so, come and argue in the comments with me and give me some logic behind why you know that. Because you just thought Portia got the big come up being with this man. She was already saying that she was faking that they were having this luxurious lifestyle while she said she was faking on the ground, not knowing all the stuff that he was involved in. I don't know. I do have a heart. I just don't know how to have a heart for someone I believe knew what was up. Sue me. Kelly, the eldest daughter comes. She has some things for the eldest daughter to take back to college. She's only half hour away in Morehouse. There's some type of a college agreement that she has going on. The eldest daughter does ask her how she's doing. You know, she just says, I'm a little bit stressed about the new restaurant I just opened because there aren't any bodies coming in. Possibly why Kelly is I don't know why. I mean, there's 1,000 chicken and waffles in Atlanta. Don't y'all think? I've driven past Atlanta. I've never really actually visited Atlanta as of yet. And I should make that change at some point. But anyway, there's a million of them. I just don't think that should have been your main course yet again. Madonna may be a different spot where there's not so many chicken and waffles there. I'm not saying chicken and waffles should not be on the menu, but I would have definitely not have had that as my main dish or the face of the business at this point. That's what I think. But anyway, Portia, she goes on a date with Sway. That's the stud. What we found out is that they met 10 years ago, and Sway was trying to holler at her then. Portia wasn't receptive because I guess she wasn't into girls. But for the storyline, she's gonna be there. I just find it interesting because what happened after they met, Portia went ghost. So obviously there was some type of attraction, I guess. But I just feel like everything's made up with Portia. Even though I did see something different that I've never seen before out of Portia, and I'll get into that in just a second. But I'm like, I just never trust anything that comes from Portia. But anyways, isn't it a coincidence that Mike was trying to holler at Portia pre-pandemic or post-pandemic when she was with Simon? But anyways, she also curved him. I find that interesting that both of them have the same type of storyline or back history with this woman. And I'm supposed to believe that this is so real. Anyways, Sway says, as far as dating, can you really see yourself with a woman? Portia says, I'm open. And Sway, I think you're going to have to be careful with this, with Portia, because I'll just say that she's newly gay, even though she said that she's been gay since high school, at least testing the waters. But this is her first relationship. You better be careful with your heart in this whole thing, because this girl could turn back and turn on you at any given moment. And this is just more in general, not even towards Portia. But you're the first one, so you're still that experimental one. What I will say, something as a positive, you see how much I didn't want to say that? Portia, I've never seen her this soft. Even with a man. I feel like Portia knows how a man operates, and she knows how she has to be. But this one, she seems so soft with her. Like it's interesting to watch, actually. And maybe that part is not fake. So, look, I done said something nice about her or whatnot. Leave me alone. Go away from me, Apollo, with this. Yeah, I just seen it, and I can't just deny that and act like I didn't see that. I'm gonna be real about it. Sway asks, Portia was thinking, so you want to be in a relationship about 3 to 5 years? She looked, and Sway was like, no, I'm ready to settle down within a year. One thing about a stud, well, really lesbians, they get to going really quick. Men, it take longer in this whole community. Lesbians, 3 months down the line, they done moved in together. Now the breakups is something else. That's why I'm saying, if Portia, I would think twice trying to hurt her intentionally. Everything that you have, she's going to destroy it. It's going to be at the bottom of Lake Lanier. Leave that girl alone if you ain't. No, they vicious, and they're going to destroy your life if you play around with them. Y'all better go ask someone. I know I'm not lying. Come back to me if I am lying. How about that? Do you have any baby daddy drama? Portia says no, but then she says, Dennis is cool when I'm single. It's when I get into a relationship he has all these problems. I think you need to go on and explain further as to what Dennis is talking about. Now, Dennis could be thinking that you're his possession, but also what he was talking about earlier, about you getting in on, with all of these men, having all these men and people around my daughter. It could be either one of those two things, but you need to go in and be truthful. I know you won't. You'll just act like Dennis is the problem. No, he's speaking correctly. Like when you had Simon, when you put PJ in Simon's lap. And now he won't even speak to her. All right, so Phaedra's having this Reiki event. Oh, Phaedra finally has an event. And she's still not working. I still don't understand why we have 8 peaches, but y'all got your girl back. They signed this long length contract with this girl, 3 years, and I think her 3 years is up after this year, and I think Bravo needs to think of something else. It's going to be in her pool area, so I was just trying to figure out why people are dressed like the way that they are. So Portia showed up looking like Kenya, or Phaedra from season 5. Donkey booty. It was even referenced on the show last night. I said shout out to the Kenya Moore and season 5, which was a great season. Anyways, we find out that Phaedra plays the flute. Okay. Kay and Pinky are on their way. They have to pick up Shamia. They talk a little bit about Portia because Pinky's quite curious as to this whole thing about the plot. She says, well, there's just things that are not adding up with Portia that makes me think otherwise. We find out that Portia was dealing with K. Michelle's ex. Now, she said this on Twitter last week, and I didn't know what that was all about. The ex that she brought on, or the ex that she picked during the Queen's Court. I forgot what his name is. I think they said it during the episode or whatever. She got this call from him. She says that they are friends. We're going to get into that once in just a second. Hold on. And he was saying, that I was dealing with Portia for a while. And he said that when she wanted to go public with him, he said, no, I didn't want to do that. But also there's been talk that Portia's been talking to him about her. It was positive. So then I was like, well, wait a minute now. I'm gonna go from it from a couple angles, so y'all can act like I'm fair a little bit, or y'all can say that I'm fair, or maybe not. If K. Michelle's married, you're friends with the person that you chose on this show, in which you said, I made sure I picked this guy, I got on Queen's Court and all that, to make Doctor jealous, to make him step up, to actually marry me. You're friends with this person, but you got all these problems of someone attacking you because you married, and the doctor who got jealous still allows you to be around the person that you were jealous of. That's interesting. Then you would think, okay, well, she is married, so why are you worried about that? Well, we'll get into that. I'm gonna talk about that. I want to hold off because we're gonna get into it. It doesn't take that long anyway. Everyone shows up at this point. Cynthia's even there. Kelly doesn't really want to be there. She's got a lot of stuff going on. I think she hugs K. Michelle. Everyone's present. Shamia's in a float, but it starts sinking. Is that a sign for something? Cynthia has to leave after they do their first meditation. Drew said, look, I got some great sleep. Nobody said that they really got any type of inspiration out of this, but whatever. They get up from there and they go to dinner, or go over to eat their dinner. K. Michelle's like, look, I think I'm going to just share what I want to share in regards to this whole plot thing. I had gotten word that Phaedra, Portia, and Drew were a part of this plot to get info on me. And Portia was like, well, why would this be? Like, I've been trying to be a friend to you since you came around this group. I don't understand what's up, what's happening. Kay Michelle, and why would you want to direct things towards me? Kay ended up just starting to explain what's going on. Kay said, look, I looked at you and I got skeptical and just closed off when we met with Kelly and you ended up saying that she was sleeping with a married man. I was like, well, what's going on there? And then she talked about the whole miscarriage mess. Portia wanted to interrupt and try to defend herself. She said, I'm not done speaking as of yet. But then when I got word at what you were trying to expose on me, I said, okay, here we go. That's number 3. But Portia was like, well, why would I do that? I have no reason. But she said, well, you got the spirit of exposure on you with Kelly. So why wouldn't I? Now, Portia has beef with Kelly. I can see why. However, I do get where Kay would come from. Okay, so you're that type of person that would just try to expose and humiliate people. So I'm sure that you would do that to me. Now that she's starting to talk, because, you know, last week I had a different thing, like, you just sound really crazy. Anyway, I could get, even though we don't know if we're going to expose anything or not, I can get why Kay felt a certain way. Y'all can say she was paranoid, and she probably was getting ahead of the story, as she already said. She jumped the shark, basically. Portia ended up saying, you know, you're just too sensitive. I was trying to be a friend to you. I was trying to have your back and all that, but just consider me not having your back no more. And then Kay said, well, this whole black situation. And then Drew said, what am I in this for? Why you keep mentioning his name? Please don't say his name. I'm going to say his name. You sitting up here trying to run up my resume and I don't know anything about you. How do you think I know all this about? Okay, that didn't make sense to me during the argument. Not just because I don't like Portia, but it could make sense as to why Kay would think the way that she is. Right now, we don't know what this whole Drew thing. It's just plausible that you're so this about black, but you're the one that brought it up in a semi-salacious, messy way about, well, he's in everybody's DMs, he's in my DMs, and then we see some of your DMs of where you just didn't, just say hi and bye type of situation. I'll just say that much. They start reading and all that. Drew says, that's why you don't fit in. You're your way over there. She talking about you looking at my resume. It was easy because you don't have no resume. I think I understand why Drew was saying what she was saying earlier this season because of what Kay. Both of y'all have interesting careers. Drew has been able to sustain within the entertainment world all this time. I'll just say that much. No, she's always been more of the token black girl and all that. In a lot of these films, she's had three roles where she's really been impressionable at, that we know. TLC, we know The Game, we also know White Chick, she was on there, and I totally forgot that dance movie. I didn't really put her in that movie, only because the breakout stars was Jenna Dawson and the guy actor in it, the white people in it. Nobody was thinking about anyone else in that film. No one else broke out from that. Anyway, singing does not put food on the table. No. That's something that we didn't know anything about her, and she just started doing now on the show. It does seem like Drew is still an easy target, and I'm not going to change on that. Kay, you were very respectable, Portia, and I look at that. I'm like, I need you to go full throttle like you is on Drew. Yes, the first time you came to Drew, it was very peaceful. I have no clue what happened in Dallas the second time. But all of a sudden now you're ready to scoop and get up. No, that's where people will, and I think that you are strategic. You know that Drew is an easy target. But you still have not been aggressive or anything towards that one, Portia. Anyways, Phaedra was like, what I will say with Kay during this whole thing, you would not let people do what people do on reality shows. And basically deter from what you had to say. You commanded them to respect you and say, I'm not finished as of yet. I got more. When Portia wanted to argue, said, let me speak. Kay has influence. Just to let y'all know, there is a respect level out of these women. And I always wanted to know what it would be like if Kay Michelle and Portia were on the same show, since it's supposed to be her show. I was like, Kay's gonna overpower her. There's no way. There's no way. Right now, it's looking that way. It's not an overpowering as of yet. It's kind of more on this equal territory, but I want to see what the rest of the season gives in regards to that. Anyways, Phaedra says, well, I think we've established here. Oh, because this is when Kay talked about the ex. And she's like, well, why are you, there wasn't any overlapping. I wasn't even dating the dude when you were. Well, you still talking about me to him. And what Kay was saying, you're sitting up here building a friendship and you couldn't tell me that we dated each other. And you could say, well, what's the harm in all that? And where's the girl code in that, as Shamia would say? After thinking about it, let's go to Tammy and Evelyn on Basketball Wives. We know Tammy didn't give an F that Evelyn actually slept with the dude. He was for everybody. The thing is that you were laughing and he in my face, and you knew that this was going on. It was just a respect thing and all of that. And if you're having conversations with this man about me, you're saying it's no big deal, that we don't need to do it. Why are you giving him that much honor and respect to talk to me, but you can't say nothing to me? Like, it's a little bit too much. It's male identified, but this whole cast is male identified. Anyway, then Phaedra said, me and Portia dated the same man before. You want to talk about it? No, I'm gonna let Portia say it. Why? You don't say anything on the show. I don't even understand why you're a part of reality TV. And then I thought about it, like, what is going on? I thought this was just a gay epidemic, where you just date everybody and date all in the friend circle and stuff. No, in the straight circle too. I'm like, there's really nothing out there. Y'all just don't launch out into the deep anywhere to get nobody. 6.5 billion people in the world, and you end up still dating the same people. Anyways, Phaedra said, I think we've established here, and Kelly said that Portia effed every Nigerian in Atlanta. I said, I said, yes, Kelly. Get in the field. I know you didn't feel like it, but I guess Kay Michelle's man was a African too, and that's what I said. So y'all just really messing with Africans. There's this African kink that y'all got, fetish that y'all got, but turn your nose up at white folks. Anyway, that started a new argument. Portia ended up putting her finger in Kelly's face. Kelly got her glass and just started going towards her face. And then all of a sudden, you better get that glass out of my face. No, Portia. You started that. You started that boundary violation. You started that. I'm glad Kelly just said, look, I'm glad she stops being in her confessional, going after her. Bravo. Stay on her neck. And then she said, then Portia was like, look, you're the one that effing everybody. Portia said, you're the one that effed that married preacher man. Da 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 da. Kelly ended up walking away. I think security got her and all that and got her away from her. You're the one that was doing that. Da 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 da. And then Phaedra, you know, yeah, he's a preacher, a married preacher. So then online, they said, I don't want to out no man, but it is true that she did that. Online, everyone's trying to figure out who this man is now. You're sitting up here trying to protect the man and all this stuff, blah, 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 but you've opened a Pandora's box. The fans have gotten a hold of it, and they're looking down Phaedra's line as to who she follows on Instagram. And most people believe that it's Pastor Keon. That's Shawnee O'Neal's new husband. I don't think that's fair. And of course, people are going to pin it to Pastor Keon because they don't like him, and they definitely don't like Shawnee. You opened that Pandora's box because you wanted the storyline and tried to humiliate and embarrass that girl, Kelly. And while you're trying to protect the man and make Kelly be the whore, you opened it up. And honestly, you should say who it is. But you did it. Anyways, that's all I got for y'all. I talked way too much this episode, and I don't even know why, but I at least had time to actually watch it and kind of dissect certain things. But y'all can tell me what y'all think. Are y'all glad Kelly's still staying on her neck? Some people said that Kelly needs to be popped. No. Kelly was doing her housewives' job. Portia put her finger in her face first. Y'all think that Kay's on the right track? Or y'all think that she's psychotic? And other words, nasty words that y'all saying online about her. Y'all let me know. Anyways, I appreciate you for coming. Like, comment, and subscribe. Until the next one. Peace.